Well, we just got the announcement that there's going to be an announcement for the new Wizard setting, and I'm pretty sure that soon we're going to get the teaser for the trailer of the announcement for the announcement to the preview of the new setting. But why bother? With 7 classic Dungeons & Dragons settings remaining to be addressed, when you look at them there's really no comparison on which one's ready to go right now. Spelljammer and Planescape aren't standalone settings. What's the point of being able to travel from world to world if those worlds aren't written yet? Birthright has a turn-based system because of the way the kingdoms were handled, and that would require a lot more mechanics for 5th edition. Dark Sun requires psionics. Wizards has already tried psionics 3 times. Still nothing. No psionics, no Dark Sun. Greyhawk is heavily reminiscent of Game of Thrones, and that's just a memory we're not ready to go back to just yet. And Dragonlance has Kinder. So where does that leave us? Mystara. It's not enough that Mystara is the obvious choice for 5th edition. There are numerous reasons why Mystara is not only the best choice for a 5th edition setting, but it's also ready to be the setting right now. There's money to be made in the known world. There's so much more to write. When people ask you why you want Mystara, tell them it's time. Then show them this video so they can join the crescendo of voices waiting to play it in the known world. First reason why Mystara is ready is it's 3 settings in 1. People forget the Forgotten Realms had Al-Qadim and Karator, because those were so isolated away and everything has to do with the Sword Coast in Forgotten Realms. If you wanted to play a setting in the ancient times, Hollow World has it. Spartans versus Egyptian pharaohs, Aztecs against Zulus. Throw in the steampunk gnomes, the Arctic elves, and the rest of the time-shifted weirdness, and you've got a unique setting like nothing D&D ever created. If you like the superhero feeling that 5th edition is turned towards, for good or for ill, Savage Coast gives you the legacies and all the weird magic that was found in the Savage Baronies. And of course you've still got the known world for a more traditional D&D setting. You don't just decide to play in Mystara, you decide where in Mystara to play. Reason number 2, it's already technically in print, as part of the 5th edition reprints with the Goodman games. Sitting on shelves in stores right now are copies of Keep on the Borderland and Isle of Dread. Hopefully in a few weeks we get Lost City, and after that we'll get Castle Amber. That's 4 classic Mystara modules right there. Mystara players aren't asking for revisions of older books, we're asking for new books in the same setting. You can make playing the modules that are already in stores better by having updated source materials to play with. Reason number 3, because of the Capcom video games, Mystara is a well-known setting. It's one of the best-known D&D settings. Chronicle of Mystara came out in 2013. That's just a year before 5th edition came out. If you want to know how popular it is, go over to YouTube and type in Chronicles of Mystara, then scroll down a few thousand times. Mystara actually has more computer and video games than any D&D setting save Forgotten Realms. Wizards likes to tie in settings from other products like the Magic the Gathering crossovers. There's a whole host of video game players already familiar with Darrican, Glantry, and the Broken Lands, and you can target that as a market. Reason number 4, diversity. I'm not talking about tokenism. I'm not trying to put random minorities in a game just so I can say I put them there, but there is a market for games featuring a large number of non-Caucasians. Those people have money that spend the same as the people that prefer more homogenous settings, and money is only one color. Unless you're Canadian. Mystara already has that topic covered without changing a thing. Look at the known world. There's 16 nations. 17 if you want to throw in Serene, but that city doesn't make the first cut, as you're going to see in a second. Take out the demi-human nations and settings, so Rockholm, Alfheim, Five Shires, Shadow Elves, Broken Lands, and Serene are gone. That's 11 human nations. Toss out Minrathad as well, because it's effectively an elf nation with just humans, dwarves, and halflings on the outskirts. Alphacia is out as well, because last time I checked, blue skin wasn't an ethnicity, but more of a warning that you need immediate medical attention. So that leaves 9 nations. Karamikos, Thyatis, the Northern Reaches, and Darrican are all equivalent to European nations. That leaves Etrugan, Ethengar, Yalarim, and Irindi with races that are definitely not populated by anybody considered white. Glantry is hard to determine because it's a fantasy Yugoslavia, and everybody is thrown in together, which makes it racially diverse, even if it's against their will. If you want something similar to a traditional Asian culture, you've got the island of Ochilia. If you want somebody with darker skin, the Yav on the Savage Coast are right there for you. The Savage Baronies are almost all modeled after Central and South American nations. In the Hollow World, you've got the Azcans, Nithians, Tanagora, and these are dominant empires in the Hollow World. There's not another D&D setting as racially diverse as Mystara. If that's something you're looking forward to in a setting, you've found it. Reason number 5. The sheer scope of the game gives you more options for your campaign than what's offered by other settings. Mystara has a host of technological levels stretching from Stone Age to Renaissance to even Colonial in a few circumstances. By changing the location of your adventure, you can start out with guns in one region. Another region is famous for its magitech and its airships. There's traditional fantasy nations that are firmly entrenched with the usual tropes. There's not a lot of crossover between the more extreme sides of the setting, with in-game explanations why guns are only available on the Savage Coast or Alphacia is largely the sole producers of airships. You can play a different location in the same world and have an entirely different campaign. Reason number 6. Since the game is based on real-world cultures, you get to replay all your favorite myths and legends. Want to play 1001 Arabian Nights? Head over to Yalarum. Beowulf is hanging out in the Solderford Jarldoms. You can solve the Minotaur's maze in the Millennian Empire. Hunt Uctina in the rivers of Etrugan. Lead a gladiator revolt in Theatis. The goodly folk walk the forests of Alfheim. And occasionally show up at the masquerades of Darrican. Your players already know the setting. If somebody has a favorite part of history, chances are Mystara can accommodate them. A party with a Shaolin monk, a Scottish Highlander, a Mongolian wizard, a Viking priest, a Viennese duelist, and a halfling thief is quite feasible. Reason number 7. Mystara has a focus on exploration that none of the other traditional settings can rival. Greyhawk and the realms are largely mapped out. You're not uncovering new parts of Sigil anytime soon. But Mystara has large chunks of empty map deliberately left for the Dungeon Master to fill in, or for the players to trailblaze. The setting was almost left uncharted for you in large sections. Norwald requires you to carve out a section of wilderness for settlement. The continents of Skothar and Divania are barely touched on, but you're provided a map for both. The undiscovered parts of Mystara aren't just there to fill in parts of the map. The party is expected to head out into the unknown. The Princess Arc stories of Dragon Magazine show exactly the potential for campaigns of exploration. Reason number 8. The domains. If you asked what separates Mystara from the other settings, it has to be the high-level options available. 5th edition tends to treat 20th level like 2nd level, just with upscaled monsters. Otherwise, it's just another dungeon crawl. However, traditionally Mystara offered the domain system, which allowed players to become nobles in their own right. Clear out the dreaded forest of niggling injury, and suddenly you've got a large section of old-growth forest that nobody's claimed in 1,000 years. What do you want to do with it? Well, congratulations, you're now royalty. But can you manage it? Other than Birthright, no setting devoted a large amount of rules to becoming the ruler over a region. You can still stick to dungeon crawling. Political intrigue isn't for everyone, but the option is there. You can set up the party so everyone gets a domain, or the party works together to manage just a single domain. It opens up a whole new style of play for your characters. Reason number 9, the monsters. If you take all the monsters from Mystara that never made it into other settings, you're looking at almost 300 of them. You've got the variants you would normally expect. There's new golems, there's a lot more giant animals and megafauna, there's several new types of constructs, but then things get weird. Mystara was developed separately from Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so there's a lot of monsters that fill the roles that the Forgotten Realms monsters normally take up in 5th edition. Kopru replaced Aboleth, Drow are completely gone, the Shadow Elves have taken their place, but not their motivations. Instead of Yuan-Ti, you've got 4 or 5 different forms of reptilian humanoids. That's not counting the numerous monsters created by magical experimentation, like putting one mind into 5 bodies with the Saberclaw. Mystara gives a whole host of new planar creatures like elements of law and chaos, the horrid abominations that populate the dimension of nightmares, or the incalculable denizens of the spirit kingdom. Instead of just throwing them all into the realms like normal, Mystara gives them a world that was created for them to thrive in. Reason number 10. If you like new races and classes, then Mystara has you covered. It takes away all the traditional demi-humans, but replaces them with new versions. For new elves, check out the nautical-themed water elves of Minrathad. The Belcadiz elves of Glantry are very definitely Spanish. The isolated shadow elves await for their return to the surface after being driven underground by a nuclear apocalypse. The sturdy Rockborn are heavily resistant to radiation and magic, even though it keeps them from learning arcane magic. Deep in the Hollow World, the cheerful Kogalar live in peace, yodeling the day away, while deep in the mountains, the evil and twisted Rot Dwarves forge weapons of great power. The Halfling race merges into just the Hen. Rather than just being a variant of hobbits with different names, you get a race with a penchant for adventuring and a supernatural tie to their land. For classes, you have the Spirit Shaman of the Ethengar, who spend more time with nature spirits than other people. The Merchant Princes of Darrican and Minrathad are wizards that serve the guild in return for money and resources. Phaeacian Rakes turn their roguish ways to noble courts rather than delving caves and dungeons. There's dozens of new subclasses available and ready to go, both with historical versions and purely fantasy versions. That's 10 reasons Mystara is ready to go right now. The list doesn't even mention many of the fantasy elements the setting is better known for, like the magical radiation that permeates Glantry, or the large number of new races like the Lupin and the Thanaton. The setting is expansive. It was one of the best supported settings in D&D. It had a long run of 15 years, and the Gazetteers went into far more detail than other setting books. There's a tremendous amount of support for Mystara over the years, from the Vault of Pandios, to the Piazza, to the Mystara Reborn Facebook page. There's already a large market for Mystara, and for the new players that have never experienced it, it's a brand new setting ready to play. So if people ask, what do you want to play, show them this video. Strap them down first if necessary. Once everybody has seen the wonders that Mystara brings to the table, then the fun really starts.